So where Sinister failed, Insidious succeeded, even though Sinister, in my opinion, is the better film of the two. But they both had intentions of becoming horror franchises, and Sinister just wasn't able to do that. Its second film is not awful, but it's clumsy and doesn't quite work, and it's just due to there's no narrative or reason for it to continue. Whereas Insidious, hey, we're gonna start right now and set up this franchise. So it's by telling a story that's just a setup for the story we really want to tell. And so at least it's good enough for 2 films guaranteed, and it sets up a world where you could follow through going forward, which they did. And now I've only ever seen the first 2. I will watch the others and have those reviews shortly. That being of Chapter 3 and The Last Key, which I guess it's Chapter 4, The Last Key. I don't know. Anyway, here you have Jason Blum producing, and James Wan, who would go on to success with the Conjuring series. And a lot of the stylings of James Wan are certainly here and present. It's very similar in mood and atmospherics, which is up front and center with this era of horror films, breaking off from, like I said in the previous video, of the found footage, and then the more unfortunate version of torture porn. So here comes mood and atmospherics about haunted houses and demonic possession and that sort of thing. So case in point here, where you have this family and they're being terrorized by some nasty netherworld entity that's targeted their son. Now, right off at the bat, at the opening, we get this rather disturbing image of a boy, and there's some sort of entity skulking about the house. And later on, we discover that this was not the kid that we're seeing throughout the film, but rather the kid's father when he was a boy. And there you have the real story that they're wanting to get to. And this whole thing is a setup for that. And there's backstory. And so they're going to go backwards with the characters they're developing here. Even though one of the main ones dies at the end of the film, but, it's a supernatural series. And involves people being able to project themselves into the astral plane. And this has to do with this family and their ability to do this, even though the father, played by Patrick Wilson, known for being Ed Warren in the Conjuring films and being Aquaman's brother, and the Night Owl from The Watchmen. Yeah. Small world, huh? But anyway, he's the dad here, and they revealed that he had a similar problem that his son did. There was an entity that was trying to take him over, and this paranormal investigative team helped him out back then. And he doesn't remember because they hypnotized him to forget, because if he remembered, he'd be in danger again. Well, it turns out his son's chip off the old block, and he has the same problem. Isn't even aware of this. He thinks he's just dreaming, which technically he is, but when he dreams, his astral projected self goes wandering around. And of course, the astral world looks just like the real one, but it's a little off. Of course, there's a lot of fog. If you go outside the house, it's all dark, but there's all kind of ghosts out there that'll reach out to you because they want to live again. All this type of stuff. And that's the desire to live again, which we'll get to in the next film, because this one is all a setup for it. Now, they do it well. You have all your scares and it's a horror movie. You're supposed to have scare stuff. But a lot of it is something's coming. That's the hindrance to these films. And I mean, once you're in it, I guess it doesn't matter. But it's like, okay, you haven't figured this out yet. And I mean, it's like a lot of things. She has the scenes with the mother, and she's got a baby monitor, and you hear weird sounds on it, and she's like listening. Gee, what is that? Get up there. I mean, eventually she does, but it's like, what the hell? So but the visuals are really good. The demon in particular, who could easily be mistaken for Darth Maul. He's a pretty scary looking dude, and there's a lot of that, which by now is getting kind of old, of course, where everything seems calm, and all of a sudden, there he is. Yeah, it's the jump scare. They should do the movie and call it Jump Scare. And then it's all rather bland and somber. And you're like, well, wait, what the hell? Then all of a sudden, oh, there it is. Oh, geez. Something like that. But anyway, it's all just, it's a lot of decoration because it's just for the fun of the ride. And so if they can pull that off, and you have to say they did. I mean, this one became a successful franchise in that it survived beyond just two, whereas like I'm comparing it to Sinister, which is more or less the same crowd doing it, and they didn't know what else to do. Here they've created this astral world. It's inhabited by ghosts and whatnot, and they're exploring that, and so you go deeper into it. They could have done the same thing with Sinister, and apparently there was talk of crossing them over, which I guess the Boo-Ghoul would be another one of these entities that they run into in that astral world type thing, and they could. It's just for the most part in these films, these seem to be the dead spirits of people who've died, and that sort of thing. Although in this one, the entity that they encounter, I'm not sure if that's really substantiated. Maybe they do in the later films. I don't know, but in this case, it could be just a demon of sorts. Whereas as we go, we find out that the entity chasing after the father was supposedly this spirit of some dead woman that was obsessed with taking over the father. And at the end, he encounters this because he's gone back into the astral realm to save his son, who's in a coma after being attacked by this other red-faced demon entity. And he's trying to take him over. And the weaker he gets, the more he'll be able to take over the kid's body. But they got to get the kid to come back to his body for him to wake up and to stop this from happening. And so the only one who could really reach him would be his father, because his father also has the ability to do this. So all that, but it puts him at risk for this other entity that wanted him. See, can you keep up? Well, in the movie, they perform it well, and of course, he encounters the entity, and he's cussing it out and saying, you're not going to get me, Little does he know it's already got him, and it switches places with him and goes back into the real world where he's left behind in the further, they call it, not the upside down. And it's very much like like the ending of Twin Peaks, the original Twin Peaks. So there he's possessed by the crazy ghost, and Elise, the main leader of the paranormal team, sees this, and so he kills her. Just flat out kills her, chokes her to death. And the wife comes in and finds her dead, and then sees they had the cameras. They can take pictures, and you can capture a ghost on it, and you see the evil spirit in the picture, and she doesn't quite. The movie ends on quite the cliffhanger, and they've got this theme where it's, that's it. So it's always meant to end, I guess, like, oh no, because you think everything's happy, they saved the son, everyone's fine, but not so fast. And so there you go. That's the whole thing. They orchestrated it. It's completely dependent on its sequel. Which, what if it didn't do well? You might be in a bit of a problem there, but nevertheless, it seems it worked out, and you got to see the next movie to find out what happens further. And so in that aspect, just the structuring of it, and also, giving you a bit of a tour of the further and all this sort of stuff, and the elements of, I guess, some latent psychic abilities that the father and his son have, and all that plays into this sort of world they're building for the purpose of the Insidious franchise, if you will. So I guess Insidious could have been used to revive the aspects of Sinister, but you got to worry about your own. So anyway, at some point, I think they were getting more interested in this idea of which The Conjuring was able to do, which was create this shared universe of horror films, similar to what the Marvel did for superheroes. And so perhaps they wanted to do that as well with Insidious, but Conjuring's the one that beat them to it. Still, it's James Wan and everything, but what the idea was percolating there. So anyway, Insidious is a fun movie. I still think the original Sinister is a superior film to this one. But it's in the Halloween mood in October. It's one of those movies you can check out.